Hey y'all, my name's Mare. Welcome back to my channel. I already recorded this introduction like 3 times, and if you hear a whirling sound in the background, it's my computer dying because about me filming the intro like 3 times. I started this vlog in New York. Okay, I started on my phone, and apparently if you film it in HDR mode and you export it to iMovie, it becomes severely overexposed and I have no idea how to fix it. So all of my footage about the dead romantics is probably dead and gone. Isn't that funny? I'll try to recover it, and if I do, I'll throw it in this vlog, but if I don't, then I'll talk about it more at the end. I just hate that so much because I felt like I had a lot of good thoughts and opinions on it, and I won't be able to articulate them as well because I finished it like a week and a half ago at this point. But anyways, we're gonna start this vlog. I'm gonna talk to you about the friend zone right now, and then we're gonna talk about the next book in the series, the Happy Ever After playlist, and then we're gonna read whatever my little heart desires, or I'll just recap the dead romantics and then we'll end this vlog. So welcome to another piece of garbage video. So glad you're here. Anywho, on my way back from New York, I listened to the Friend Zone on audiobook on the plane ride back, and it was pretty good. I gave it a 3.75 star rating, which is very specific, but I did really enjoy it. This book follows a woman named Kristen who has infertility issues. She has basically like always been told like you'll never be able to have kids, and she's going to have a surgery that basically ensures that because it'll make her periods a lot better because like they're really horrible for her. And she is dating this guy who's in the military, and she has been dating him like long distance for about 2 years. And so she's like, hey, I don't want you to re-enlist. If you re-enlist, we're not going to date anymore. And he decides to re-enlist. So she's like, okay, we're done. And while this is all happening, her friend Sloane is engaged to her fiance, Brandon. They're having a wedding. And so because of this, Brandon's best friend comes in town to fulfill his not man of honor, what is it called? Best man's duties. She meets Josh and she's like, I kind of really like him. And there's this whole conflict because she is still with Tyler, her boyfriend overseas, but then they break up, so it's like free game, right? But here's the problem, is that Josh really wants kids and always talks about how he really wants kids in front of Kristen, and she knows that she can never give him that. So that's kind of like the main conflict of this book. I can't really talk too much about my issues with it without like getting into spoiling the book, so I might talk a little bit at length. I don't think they're like huge spoilers because it's a romance book and it's usually going to follow a very typical arc, but my main issue with this book, spoiler warning now, and also when we get into the second book it kind of spoils the first book, so yeah, I don't really know how to talk about these without talking about what happens in this first book because like it's a series and like it bounces off the events of the first one, because the book I'm reading now is the second book in the series, spoiler. My main issue with the friend zone was that in the end, Josh and Kristen are able to conceive, and I just didn't like that because I felt like it sent out a bad message. Like it's telling you this whole time like if you cannot physically conceive children, like you should still be loved, and then at the end it was like, okay, you should still be loved, but also like she's gonna be able to have a child on her own, and like I just feel like it didn't need to do that. I feel like it could have literally done anything else. Like they could have been able to adopt a child or to try different things, but like this whole time she was having this struggle with infertility, and at the end like her being able to conceive a child, like I just felt like it could have been done in a different way. I don't know how to talk about this. This is obviously like it's not an issue that I have or that I know that I have, but like I don't think that that was the appropriate way to end the book. But then I was reading the author's note and she was like, this is based on a true story of something that happened to my best friend. So like I also can't be like, oh, this never happens for people, and I'm not saying it never happens for people, but like I just thought it was gonna have this like uplifting message that's like, hey, even if you can't conceive children on your own, like you're still worthy of love, which was like kind of like Kristen's whole struggle this whole time. And so for her to just be able to conceive a child by the end, it kind of like invalidated that whole message for me, and that's what I didn't like about it. So yeah, like I didn't hate it because it was like, okay, this could definitely happen, but also like it could have just not happen in the book too, and it would have made it better. That's how I felt about the friend zone. I liked it up until that point, and I also didn't love how, like, in the beginning of the book, the main character Kristen was very into Josh. Even though she was with Tyler, it felt very dishonest to me, but like she also was telling herself, no, I'm with Tyler, I can't do it. So like it wasn't, but if you're ever having those thoughts in a relationship, I feel like you shouldn't be in one. So that also made me feel kind of icky. It was there, but it wasn't like a full ick. Yeah, those are my two main problems with it, but beyond that, I liked the chemistry, I liked the romance, I liked the plot line. I thought there were a lot of interesting messages and things that I had not read about before in a romance novel, or any novel for that fact. I'd never really read a book about a woman who struggles with infertility, so I liked that aspect. And I knew I was going to really like the second book in the series, which is the one that I'm reading right now, and that is is it the Happily Ever After, or is it the Happy Ever After? Let's find out together. It's the Happy Ever After playlist. And this book is really fun. Not fun at all, actually. This book is about Sloane, who is Kristen's best friend from the first book in the series. And she is going through a tough time because 2 years ago, right before their wedding, her fiance unfortunately got into a motorcycle accident and he passed away. So he's been dead for about 2 years, and that's something she really struggles with. Like, that's like a horrible traumatic thing to go through, especially like right before your wedding. And Sloane is like not looking for love, just looking after herself and trying to just make it through the next day. And like, that's fair, girl. It's about to be the 2-year anniversary of Brandon's death. I think she was like doing things for him, like to celebrate his life, and she almost hits a dog with her car. Like, a dog like jumps in front of her car, and she ends up taking him home, trying to contact his owner. Like, he's microchipped, he has a tag. She tries calling his owner multiple times and he doesn't answer. And she gets really frustrated with this, but like 2 weeks, she's like, okay, screw it, I'm just keeping this dog. This dog's mine. I love him. He's gotten me into a much better, stable routine. I'm like going outside. And 2 weeks go by and the owner finally calls her back. And the reason why he hadn't been calling her back this whole time is because he was overseas and he didn't have any cell service. Turns out he's a really famous musician? He's a really famous musician. He's a very famous music person. We'll go with music person because I cannot say musician. I did it. Okay, music. I'm not gonna say it again. Right away, they just start like flirting over the phone. Sloane agrees to take care of his dog for another 2 weeks while he's out of town, and because she loves the dog, and they start kind of building this banter, and that's all I really have so far. I'm about 25% into it, and I'm really liking it. I'm liking it a whole lot more than the first book already, because nothing about Jackson, is that his name? Jackson is giving me the ick, like the whole Josh Kristen situation was. And I also just like this topic of a romance book better. I feel like it's more emotionally hard-hitting for me myself. I'm liking it a lot, and I'll let you know what I think when I finish it. Goodbye. Hey guys, I just made some breakfast / lunch. I got some hash browns and some eggs. So I'm gonna eat them in front of you while I talk to you about my last book that I read. I also just realized I feel like I've worn this shirt in every single vlog update that I've done for the last month. Yes, I do laundry, but I also exclusively wear this shirt, so my apologies. Today's plans, what are today's plans before we get into the book? Nothing. I am getting ready for work as soon as I talk to you, because that's all I ever do is work. I wake up, I bake my food, I listen to my audiobooks, and I go to work. So I finished the Happy Ever After playlist, which is the second book in the Friend Zone series. The main issue that I have with this book isn't really an issue. I just didn't like the third act conflict very much. I think that makes sense because you're dealing with like a famous figure, and so the conflict that's in this book is going to be revolving around that. And my issue wasn't necessarily what that conflict was, but how Jason dealt with it. I didn't like it. I didn't like how he lied to Sloane and just how he treated the situation. So that was a bummer because I was really enjoying this book. I saw it being one of my favorite romances like ever until about the 70% mark. So
I liked it a lot, but it was a little bit of a letdown. But I still really recommend it, still really enjoyed it. I'm having a lot of fun with this series because I like that it tackles a lot more than just a romance. It's having like these issues that real people deal with every day and that I feel like I haven't read a lot about in literature. Like the first book, I'd never really read about women who struggle with infertility. And with this book, I haven't really read about someone who's lost their partner and is trying to find love again. So I'm interested in the third book in the series. We have some options for what to read next. I might read Luck and Last Resorts because I finished Love, List, and Fancy Ships, and spoiler alert, that was a 5-star book. And this is the next one in the series, and it follows Nina, who is like the best friend of the main character in that book, and I really loved it. So we might just continue on a romance kick. I'm gonna get ready for work, I'm gonna finish my food, and we'll start another book and talk later. Hey guys, how's it going? It's my birthday, fun fact. I'm sitting on the couch doing nothing because I don't have plans right now. We're gonna go to medieval times later because I've never done it and it sounds like a fun time. Well, we went camping last night. It was a fun experience, but also very hot and rainy and sweaty. We even like were in a glamping like sort of scenario where there was an AC unit, but the AC did not work very well because you're still in a tent. So it was very hot and we live in Florida, so it was downpouring most of the night. So we didn't do that much, but we still got to go on a trail, go look at some scenic views. Didn't find any gators, unfortunately, which was very devastating to me. I wanted to find a gator out in the wild. But we're home now and I've got nothing to do until medieval times. I got my free Starbucks drink, which is also very exciting. I got the big boy because it was free. Anyways, that's my fun little life update for you. I need to talk to you about books. Oh, before I do that, I'm also probably gonna buy the Animal Crossing expansion for my Switch because I never got it. So I'm gonna play that, and that brings me to my final point, the book that I'm going to be reading. I'm gonna try and play that and then listen to I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. This is her memoir that I'm sure you've heard all about. If you don't know who Jennette McCurdy is, she was a child actor. She was Sam Puckett on iCarly. It's basically her life story of dealing with child fame and being a child actress when she didn't want to be. And it also talks about her struggles with like her eating disorders and just everything that comes with being a child actor. And especially when you don't want that and it's like forced upon you by your mom. So I'm kind of in the halfway point right now. I'm a little bit over and I'm still in the before part, before her mom actually dies. So it's interesting seeing how she's treated by her mom and how that affects her. And I don't really have like profound thoughts on this because it's not my life story and it's not really up to me to comment on it, but honestly, like so far I'm really impressed by her writing. I'm listening to the audiobook, so it's her actually telling the memoir, and it just makes it more powerful, I think, whenever it's actually read by the author. So really not enjoying it, but like I'm really engrossed in her narrative and wanting to find out what happens next. I'm definitely excited to see her recovery process and to see her develop into the person that she is today, because it's always incredible to see someone who's gone through so much and who's struggled with so much get to a point in their life where they're dealing with that and they're able to be a better person and to evolve from that. I'll let you know my final thoughts when I finish it. Gonna play some Animal Crossing, and then we'll chat later when I finish it. And I'm probably gonna talk to y'all about The Dead Romantics, which is the first book that I mentioned in this vlog that my footage got cut off for. So I'll try my best to like be eloquent about it, but I don't remember much of that book because I didn't really enjoy it. So toodles. Howdy folks. As you can probably tell, I have about 28 minutes before I have to get ready for work, so that's why I'm vlogging. That feels like it's been the trend for me lately, where I have literally no time to do this, but it's the only thing I want to do. So
Hi guys, I'm gonna wrap up this video. Here, you need to see my little hamster bun. I finished I'm Glad My Mom Died, so I want to talk about that. And I really don't have any more thoughts on it than I did at the halfway point. I really liked Jennette McCurdy's writing style, and I thought that her life was really interesting to read about. So honestly, I really recommend it. I'm not really good at reviewing memoirs, but it's one of the most well-written and impactful memoirs that I've probably ever read. I haven't read that many, but like I just read Crying in H Mart, and comparing those two, like in terms of writing, I just felt connected to Jennette McCurdy's writing style more. You can't always relate to each author's experience, and that's totally okay. The point of reading a memoir in my eyes is to learn about other people's experiences, even if they're vastly different from your own. I think you should be learning something when you're reading a memoir, and I just definitely felt for Jeanette so much. I really recommend this book, and yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. It was really good. I also wanted to bring up The Dead Romantics. I read this like 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, so I'll try my best to give you coherent thoughts. But this one follows a woman named Florence who's a ghostwriter for a popular romance author, and her family owns a funeral home. And she's writing this last book for the person she's ghostwriting for, and she gets a very unfortunate call one day that her dad has passed away and she needs to return home. And so she's helping with this funeral, she's trying to write this book, and all of a sudden a ghost shows up at her door, and it's her editor. It had a lot going on. I think I gave this 2 stars because it was just not my favorite. I really liked what it had to say about like death and grieving. I thought it was a really refreshing take to celebrate life and to not always live in that grief, and I feel like it did a really good job of saying that message, but I really didn't care for the romance part. I thought this book had a lot of promise and a lot of potential, but overall it was trying to do way too much, so that's why I didn't really enjoy it. But I didn't hate it. I just think that it's not really a romance, so if you're looking for a romance, don't pick this one up. But if you're looking for a story that has a lot of different parts and pieces to it that aren't super fleshed out, like they're definitely explored, but I feel like holistically this didn't go into everything as much as I wanted to. This might be for you. Like, it's a little slice of life kind of thing, and it has a lot of quirky elements to it, so I definitely see the appeal of this. It just didn't work for me, unfortunately. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. Sorry if it was horrible, but I'm really trying here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye all.